do you control your own media? Now, this was something I hadn't given much thought to until a couple of months back when I got an email from Ben Settle. And Ben Settle had, well, he's always highlighting this fact in his emails, and he's been doing it for a couple of months or a couple of years, and that was the fact that if you are using somebody else's platform for your traffic, for your sales, or to get in front of an audience, you don't really control that part of your business, because you can have the rug pulled from under you at any moment, and then suddenly all those followers are gone, that stream of income is gone, or whatever it was that you were relying on for that platform, that's completely gone. You've probably seen many stories online or in the the national papers where somebody had a huge Instagram following and they were seen as this influencer, and then suddenly everything was pulled out from under them. Somebody complained about them, somebody reported their content, and Instagram, like a lot of platforms, couldn't be arsed to do any investigation at all. They will just simply go on the complaint and they'll say, right, let's go switch this off. And then suddenly that Instagram follower who might have had a couple of million followers suddenly has zero, and suddenly that income that they were relying on, all those affiliate products or whatever that they were advertising in their posts, is gone, and that income is gone overnight because they didn't control the media. Now, I know in my own personal case this had happened to me before. I had got a kids book box set on the Kindle store. Now, you'd probably assume if you weren't causing any controversy on the Kindle store, if you weren't writing anything that was racist or promoted hate or was anything like that, propaganda or something like that would cause any controversy, you could rightly assume that you could just keep uploading content in the Kindle store and make money from it from now until whenever you do stop. But unfortunately, I found to my own mistake that it only takes a couple of complaints, maybe even one complaint in this case, and suddenly your book disappears. Now, in my case, I had some complaints against my book. Now, I probably know 100% that the complaints weren't from readers, but were actually from people in my niche who were probably jealous of the book, or maybe were just trying to cut down on the competition around them, and they had reported my book to Amazon. And again, like I said earlier, Amazon didn't want to do any investigations at all. They just simply said, good luck, on your bike, off you go, you're not selling your stuff here anymore. Now, I didn't know about this, I didn't realize that this could happen so easily and so quickly, that you could be there one day and gone the next. And again, not by causing any controversy, by simply just having a box set of kids books. Now, thankfully, there was a lady on my email list who had given me Jeff Bezos' personal email. Now, I'm not too sure if it was his personal email, and again, I assume he's too busy to answer these emails, but I'm sure he probably has some minions that are below him that look at that email and they will probably reply on his behalf, or maybe if they kind of filter out what goes up and he reads. So, in this case, I had sent this email off, and thankfully, I got the thumbs up. I got my books reintroduced back into the Kindle store, and I was more or less given a slap on the hand saying, whatever you've done in the past, just make sure you don't do it again, but we're going to put your books up again. So my books then went back in the store and started selling away like normal. And as I said, I didn't do anything at all. I actually had the book selling for the longest time. I hadn't even altered any descriptions, changed any uploads, book covers. I hadn't touched the book in years, and then suddenly it just completely disappeared. So I'm here to tell you that if you are relying on a platform, maybe where you are selling your books, or whether you are building an audience like Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, if you don't own the platform, you don't own anything. And like as I said there, you can have the rug pulled out from under you for any reason that mightn't have anything to do with you. It could be just a simple thing as somebody making a complaint. And you'll even find now at the moment, right now, there are the riots going on in America because of the Black Lives Matter, and you will find companies that are putting on a public show of showing solidarity and showing racism. No, we don't agree with that, I'm taking this down, and publicly showing it on Twitter or Facebook, making a public show of how they are working on our behalf. In an example, there's an old TV show, you may have watched it before, but it was called Fawlty Towers, and John Cleese was in it, and it was about this kind of, he was like a hotel owner who was just completely madcap. It was just a crazy kind of comedy show. But anyway, there was only a few episodes of it made, and for years that TV show was on constantly. It was always on, and there was only one episode that ever really caused a problem, and that episode was the one where you don't mention the Germans. I think that was the title of the episode. Now, what happened in that episode was that a couple of German people had come over and stayed in the hotel, and Basil, John Cleese, was frantically running around in this episode, running ahead of the people, saying, don't mention the war, don't mention the war, and don't mention the Germans, and don't mention this and that. So it was a big kind of a laugh, but of course he was doing it out so much, doing it out loud, that it was impossible for the German people not to hear it. So when it came to a German TV station buying the box set or buying the show in their own country, of course they left that episode out, and everybody in England thought it was hilarious. Oh, the Germans can't, they can't, admit that they were wrong in the war and all this crack. But so that episode was dropped out. But until recently, I think it was this week, one of the major TV shows in England had dropped the box set, had dropped the Fawlty Towers from showing on the screens because suddenly it's racist. Now, it's not racist for the episode where the Germans and where they were taking the Mickey out of the Germans. It was actually because one of the characters, the Major, he was a bit of a kind of, he's getting on in age and he would say the craziest things. But one of the things he had mentioned in the episode was, I think he'd mentioned the N-word, and it had to do with a cricket team or something that England was playing or something like that. But so the box set or the whole TV series was taken down because he had mentioned the N-word. Now, of course, the TV channel went on to Twitter and they made a big show of, we won't stand for racism. That said, we're cleaning up everything here. But how many weeks, how many months, how many years had they been showing that TV show? And they had no problems with it at all. Everybody was, everybody's attention was on the episode that mentioned the Germans, but it didn't mention the one with the N-word. And publicly they had gone out and taken the whole TV series down because of that episode. And again, you're going to find a lot of companies are doing that at the moment. You'll probably see as well too, there are even some actors where people purposely go back through their Twitter feeds from years ago, even if they have deleted their accounts. There is some websites that might have an archive or a snapshot of that Twitter feed, and you can actually go back through it and examine it. In the case of one of the actors on one of the CW shows, he had lost his job because he had mentioned something way back in, I think it was 2016 or earlier. Now, he did mention some racist remarks, and he did mention some kind of things that weren't very appealing or weren't very nice toward women. But again, he was probably stupid, he was probably naive, and maybe he was just putting on a public show. But he had deleted that account, I think, on Twitter. I don't know how long ago it was, but somebody had dug up those old tweets, and because of that he has lost his job. So at the moment there are a lot of companies who are swinging the other way. They are going out of their way to make a show, the show that they are, standing for Black Lives Matter or standing for some campaign, and they will pull the rug out from under you. So as Ben said, if you don't own the platform and you don't control the media, you're not in control of anything. You could be just have the rug pulled out of you from any second because somebody said that you mentioned maybe a racist remark years ago, and whether you did or not, the majority of companies won't even look into it. They will just simply close you down and not even listen to your questions or your appeals or anything. So how can you get around that? Well, what I'm doing here is I'm recording these videos. What I'm doing is I'm turning these into podcast episodes. What I'm doing is I'm putting these on my website, I'm putting them on my Facebook page, but I'm also storing copies of these on my hard drive on my laptop. So if YouTube ever takes these videos down, I still have them as a podcast episode. If my podcast is ever taken down, I can always host them on my website because I control my website. If my website host, again, closes me down for any particular reason, I've got a backup of my website that I can take to another web host and I can upload it again. Or I could create an app, or I could maybe take my business offline and maybe start collecting mailing addresses so I can contact my customers and my readers by mail. So if you are only relying on one platform, if you are only relying on only one way to get in front of your audience, you are really leaving yourself on very shaky ground. So keep that in mind today. As Ben said, if you don't control your media, you don't really control anything, and your business can be taken down overnight. Again, not because something you might have said, but because maybe a competitor might have complained about you, or somebody had gone back to an old Twitter feed or an Instagram feed or something like that, found something that wasn't to their liking, and the company just pulled the rug out from under you without you knowing about it. So, a lot of people are, do post a lot of content to social media because they think that is the only way they are going to get in front of their audience. But there are so many different ways of doing it. So don't rely on one platform. Start thinking to yourself, how can I build my own media? How can I build something that I can control? Podcast episodes, YouTube channels. How can I maybe start creating my own website, put my own content on my own website? So at least if all those other places start closing you down, you still have that to rely on. Or again, as you said, at the very another way you could go is maybe to create an app and put all your content through the app, or go offline and try and start collecting postal addresses of your readers or your followers and keep in contact with them that way. So give that some thought today. You mightn't think, well, I'm never going to cause any controversy, I'm never going to cause any problems. But as I said in that example, I wasn't causing any problems at all. There was no reason anybody should have, they could have complained about the quality of the writing, but that was about as far as anybody could take it. But unfortunately, I didn't control the platform and I suffered because of it for a short while anyway. So give that some thought, keep that in mind with your business. So if you'd like to ask me any questions in any future videos, or if you'd like to know more about the podcast or the videos, if you simply do a Google search on writecome.com, that's WRITECOME.com, you'll find everything there. And as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today, and take care and have a great day. Bye bye.